Hello, and welcome to the Socialist Hype House's YouTube channel. It's very exciting today. We are hosting our very first debate. It is a abortion debate, determining whether or not abortion should be legal. I will have all of the parties introduce themselves if you want to go around.
I guess I can start. Hi,
you want to do opening statements, or you can just introduce yourself, whatever you want.
I think we probably want to introduce ourselves. Okay, so hi, I'm Aaliyah, aka Aaliyah, on TikTok, and I'm part of the pro-choice team, I guess.
I'm Elise, or Liberalelyse on TikTok, and I'm also part of the pro-choice side.
I'm Mark Politics or Profit Incel on TikTok, and I'm on the pro-life side.
I'm michaellighttoks on TikTok, and I'm Team Pro-Life.
Alrighty, so let's get into it. Do we want to have maybe the pro-life people do opening statements first?
Sure.
Alrighty.
All right. So
do you want to take this one, Prophet, or?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So basically what we think makes a human life valuable is inherent capacity of certain heterogeneous characteristics that we don't know yet we know are there, because humans are valuable for at least some reason, or at least from the axiom to human life. And we establish humans to be valuable in that certain way, which is what every human has until they have a non-reversible cessation of development function, which would be brain death. So that's what we would determine human value.
Our opening statement is abortion is wrong based on the fact that an unborn baby is a living human person that's innocent. Yeah.
Well, our kind of big main idea or opening statement is that you can't really tell a woman what to do when a fetus is inside of her body because of a law called, hold on, let me look at it, the right to bodily autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if a fetus is in fact a person, it bows to that law as well.
Is that law your main argument for it? Like bodily autonomy? Do you want to discuss the legality of it?
Bodily autonomy is a law.
Yeah, I know. But well, bodily autonomy stems from the axiom to self-ownership.
Yeah, but
so we understand it's like private property, right? That's the reason bodily autonomy. Okay, perfect. So, for instance, like private property. Here's a hypothetical. So, if somebody goes on your private, do you want to discuss? We can discuss rape cases or like normal cases. Do you want to start with like if the woman consented to intercourse first?
So the fun fact about rape, is that a lot of it goes unreported.
Yeah.
So how are you going to tell if a woman who goes in to get an abortion is indeed she indeed consented to having that fetus?
Well, I can argue both sides, whether she was raped or she wasn't. Do you want me to do both at once, or do you want me to just go one or the other?
Just do both.
All right, perfect. Okay, so when we look at okay, we can do both. Okay, so we understand it comes from private property. So if somebody goes on your, let's say somebody else, which in a rape case, puts somebody on your private property, and then they're going to leave, do you have the moral obligation to at least let them leave, or can you stab them
as they're leaving?
As they're leaving.
You see, the thing with that is, it is not inside a person.
Well, yes,
it stems from private property. It stems from private property, and that's private property.
Your body is not private property. Your body is you.
You're arguing it from bodily autonomy, which stems from private property. That's why we have bodily autonomy.
Do you know what bodily autonomy is?
Yeah. When you can do practically anything inside of your body. But then again, it stems from private property. So I'm arguing this. I'm giving you a hypothetical where it's private property.
Bodily autonomy is when someone can't use your body without your consent. I.e., you can't be forced. No, let me finish. Why you can't be forced to give blood donations, you can't be forced to donate organs.
Sure.
Someone cannot use your body without your consent. So if a fetus is using your body when you were raped, you are legally allowed to take it out, even if it means the death of the fetus. It doesn't matter if someone's life is at stake. You have the right to choose what happens to your body.
All right. So do you want me to explain why for instance, like saying that you cannot donate organs without your consent is way different from an actual abortion?
You see, it's not.
Okay, well then let me
Because-
explain
no,
why it is.
Can you
Yeah.
let me explain?
He
Sure,
asked
sure.
if he could explain it, and you cut him off, and now you want to make your own point. Like
Yeah,
he just
because
asked the
he
question
asked
if he
the
could explain
question.
something.
Didn't he
Yeah, and it-
ask why it was different? Or
No,
why
I
it
said
was
if I could
the same?
explain why it's different. That was
And
the
you're not
question.
letting him talk.
Yeah, you can explain.
All right,
No,
sure. So
that's
we
my bad.
understand.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's totally fine. So we understand that there's a difference between let die and well, essentially the right not to be killed and the right not to die. So if you do not donate your organs to somebody, that person does not have a right not to die. Therefore, you wouldn't be forced to give your organs. However, in an abortion, there's the thing called, the right not to be killed. And that's a way different from the right not to die. So the right not to be killed. So actually, I'm what's called an evictionist, which isn't necessarily pro-life, but it's definitely not pro-choice. So it basically states that since it comes from private property, you can remove that person from your private property, yet you cannot either stab that person or injure that person. You essentially have to let them leave. And so we understand that the right not to die is different from the right not to be killed. And so the right not to be killed would violate, or an abortion would violate the right not to be killed, not the right not to die. If you were to remove the fetus alive and then it died on its own, that would actually be okay, because that would be the right not to die, and the fetus doesn't have the right not to die. So that's kind of the difference.
Well, I'm personally going to disagree with that. The last part.
So
I'm full pro-life. But yeah.
Aaliyah, do you want to go?
I'm just trying to think of. So you're saying that, let's say, you're at the point, like right before the fetus can become like premature, like you can have the baby, or have the baby, and it can still be alive, live on its own. So can't technically someone just like force a miscarriage then?
Well, if it's an intentional miscarriage, then
How could you tell the
no.
difference though?
You couldn't tell the difference. We're talking about, what do you mean? Like, if the woman intentionally does it or unintentionally? You
Wait,
can't really tell
I'm
the
sorry.
difference. You can't really tell the difference, which is like, it's a problem, but if she forces it or not, it's kind of hard to prove.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Wait, are you
Yeah.
saying that I would say that a miscarriage would be manslaughter?
Kind
Or
of,
no?
yeah.
Well, manslaughter comes from criminal negligence. So how is that even an equivalence? The woman's not being criminally negligent if a natural miscarriage happens.
But how would you know that it was a natural miscarriage? That's what my point is.
I mean, you can tell, like, for instance, like papaya, like if, because like papaya or like specific types of vitamins, you can kind of have like a natural miscarriage through doing that, right? I mean, if the burden of proof is on whoever's prosecuting her to prove it, and if they can't, then sure.
But
You
But
see,
it's-
that's where a lot of the problems come in. We were actually
Yeah.
researching a lot of countries that have made abortion illegal, and a lot
Sure.
of times what they do is they put countless women who had miscarriages in prison for 30 years. Like
Well-
right after they had a miscarriage. Imagine
Well, but-
being a woman who had a miscarriage, your child died, and then you
Well,
get sent to prison.
I think that argument would be good if you were asserting that we were arguing that after a woman has a miscarriage, we would want her to go to jail for 30 years, but I don't think that's what we're arguing.
How do you know the difference between a miscarriage and an abortion?
We're literally debating about abortion. So this debate is only about abortion.
Yeah,
Yeah, how do you know the
legality
difference
of it.
between an abortion and a miscarriage?
An abortion is a specified, like there's a specific
Yeah.
outline for what makes an abortion an abortion. It's objective whether there was an abortion or whether there wasn't. It's not abortion is not a subjective term, right? It's not subjective. It either happened or it didn't happen.
So if it's a
Right now-
miscarriage, then it's not an abortion.
We're talking about the legality of abortion.
Yeah.
So if you want to make abortion illegal, how are you going to make sure you're putting the right women, like the right women are getting punished?
Because then well, first of all, to prosecute somebody, you would first need evidence that that miscarriage was not natural. So first of all, that kind of disproves the claim that, in some of these countries, like you were stating, where they would have a miscarriage and they would go to jail for 30 years. However, the burden of proof would be on the prosecutor to prove that miscarriage was not natural. And it would be on the burden of proof, if they were to prove that, on the mother to prove it was natural if they did prove that it was not natural.
But how are you going to tell the difference? Because obviously in countries that do have it, we're looking at places that currently are like having problems with this today. And they can't tell the difference. And innocent women, after having this traumatic thing happen to them, are being punished for something they didn't do.
But we're not arguing for those laws, so why is that even relevant?
We're arguing about whether abortion should be legal or not. There's very specific medical procedures which are abortions. It's a black and white line whether or not it's an abortion.
Here's kind of my response to you guys. So you guys are talking about how the miscarriage they don't know, and so the woman would go to jail. I'm saying that if they could prove it, I'm not saying that I know how to prove it. I'm saying if they could, then that's when the woman would go to jail. So you guys are asserting that the woman was go to jail for 30 years, right? Which, sure, I'll take that. And then they'd still have to prove it, right? And if they don't prove it, then I'm not arguing for those laws. So if they do prove that the woman's miscarriage was intentional, then sure, she should go to jail. However, if they cannot prove that, then it's innocent until proven guilty.
That's valid.
Yeah.
But Michael, going back to what you said, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were talking about the medical procedure. Are you aware that there are different kinds of abortions?
Yes, but whether or not that medical procedure qualifies as an abortion is black and white. It's not subjective whether a specific medical procedure falls under the term of abortion or not. Can you agree with that?
You do realize that not every abortion is a medical procedure. There are pills that you can take. You know that, right?
Are you talking about chemical abortion?
Hold on, my computer.
The term that has the word abortion in it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not an abortion. Yeah. It's just not like a medical procedure. It's it's just pills. And that's how most
chemical abortions are. It has the name abortion in it.
I'm not saying that it's not abortion.
Okay, can something subjectively be an abortion?
Who said that it? What?
This is what I'm saying. You guys are like arguing. You guys are like saying that it would be hard to tell like whether it's an abortion or not. I'm saying there's a black and white line between what's an abortion and what isn't an abortion.
No, we're saying that if abortion became illegal, it'd be hard to tell.
Yeah, but then I think going back to like what I was saying was the burden of proof would have to be on the prosecutors to prove she either had like when we were talking about miscarriage, the burden of proof would be on the prosecutors to prove that miscarriage was unnatural and so that she intentionally did it. But without that, then I wouldn't support the laws that that would say like she has to go to jail for 30 years just because they couldn't, unless they proved the intent of the miscarriage, which is hard to do. But I'm saying it's innocent till proven guilty. So, and I think what Michael's trying to say is, if an abortion happens, and even like a miscarriage, if they can just prove the intent, that, her either intent was to get an abortion or intent to have a miscarriage, then I think that's kind of what we're arguing here.
Well, I just felt like the way that you guys were arguing, maybe this was a misunderstanding on my part. I felt like the way you guys were talking, you were talking about you guys were speaking almost as if an abortion is a subjective term. And I'm trying to make it clear that it's an objective term. Either the medical procedure is an abortion or it isn't.
Yeah, we never said that.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to clarify here. Okay.
Yeah, you just.
Okay, well, I think we're kind of on the same page. It's just a little confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be 100% clear with communication and everything.
All right, wait. So what was your original argument with the miscarriages? Like, it's hard to prove that.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible to dictate whether something was an abortion or it was a miscarriage.
Okay, sure.
Which leads to false imprisonments.
All right, sure. So on the false imprisonment part, kind of like what I said was the burden of proof would have to be on them, and I wouldn't be arguing for laws that just imprison women for having miscarriages. So that's kind of, I guess that'd be a summarized response.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. So no, just assuming it was like malintent with a miscarriage and then putting her in jail.
So, another story we read, it was a woman who had an abortion when it was illegal, and she recounted her story. She was a pregnant teen, if I'm remembering correctly, and she said that she didn't have time to think about what she was doing when she got an abortion, and she was lucky enough to have a safe one. Now, that's an incredibly important thing because you guys want people to be informed of like the consequences of having an abortion, right? The law that we brought up at the beginning,
Sure.
you have to inform women before they get abortions of their other options. They
Sure.
have to be taught everything on both sides before making the decision. And
Why?
this woman, when it was illegal, felt that she didn't have enough time and didn't have enough space to make that decision, and that resulted in an abortion.
Okay, so you're arguing that since she didn't know, it's justifiable. Is that kind of like the summary?
Kind of. It's mostly you're not giving women time to think about the consequences of their action.
Okay, sure. So just looking at like the pure deontology of the action, if we understand that the deontology, just to say what deontology is like the actual action itself, not kind of looking at like the consequentialism or the utilitarianism that kind of happens afterwards. So if we look at the deontology of the action and we understand that the action itself would be bad, so you're arguing like since she didn't know it would be justified, or that since she didn't know she should be given liability or or non-liability? Because if we look at if somebody kills somebody, but that's their only option. There's obviously either the judge is gonna be either nicer to you or understand your situation. So obviously there would be some exceptions. But can you clarify kind of what the situation would be? Elaborate more on it's just like she didn't know, or
she literally had no idea the consequences. Oh, she wasn't informed what an abortion was. People didn't talk about it, right? Because it was seen as taboo. When you do that, women aren't informed and they make harsh decisions and put themselves in danger.
So then can't you just make it so that abortion agencies just have to inform you of all the options, and then that kind of solves your whole problem?
They do that.
Yeah, they do
Okay,
that already.
The story is from 50 years ago when it was illegal.
Well, if it's from 50 years ago, then why is that kind of relevant now? Because we understand
we're talking about abortion being illegal.
It wasn't really illegal 50 years ago. It was illegal in some states, but it was also legal in some states. It depended on the state in which you were at. Before Roe v. Wade, it wasn't necessarily illegal across the whole board. It was only in certain states like Texas.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I have a question about your
women lived in those states.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying there's. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just clarifying that it's never been fully illegal, just in some places.
Just a question about your point. When I asked you if the abortion providers tell you all the options, and then you said yes, how could she not know all of her options when the abortion agency told her all of her options?
This is
because that was an illegal abortion.
So they did or did not tell her her options?
They did not, because it was an illegal abortion.
So then why did you answer yes?
Because I thought you were talking about right now.
So then why does the responsibility fall on other people to inform her that the action of killing would be wrong?
Because she doesn't see it as killing.
So then if we make it, I don't think perception changes the deontology of the action, though. If I perceive killing you as a good thing and then I kill you, that doesn't justify killing you. Pure perception is a subjective morality argument.
You're saying that killing is never justified.
I'm saying it's just. Oh no! I think it's justified.
That's not what we're saying.
Can be justified in specific situations.
Okay, but
it's an innocent
woman. You don't know her situation. What if it was justifiable?
How would it be justifiable?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Michael, can you say your exact stance on abortion? You think it should be illegal in all cases, right?
Yes.
Are you aware that women sometimes get pregnant and then they have cancer and they can't get chemo because it could, kill the fetus?
Okay.
And if they don't have an abortion, then they're gonna die.
Well, no, it's not as simple as that. They could get a preterm delivery. Are you going to let me finish my sentence, or are you going to talk over me?
You can
Okay.
go.
So in that case, they could give a preterm delivery with the help of medical professionals in the case where her life is at stake. And then after that medical procedure, the unborn baby would be born prematurely and it would die, but she would be able to get the cancer procedure, the cancer treatment. Abortion is not a medically necessary medical procedure.
If it's gonna die either way,
Hey.
then what's
Well,
the
I'm
point
saying
in making it
only
illegal?
only in the cases where the mother's life is at danger can she.
Yeah, but you're trying to make it sound like it's not abortion. At least that's what I'm getting.
It's not an abortion. It's not an abortion because medical professionals don't call it an abortion. It either is an abortion or it isn't. And medical procedures, medical professionals, the people who invented abortion, get to label what and what isn't abortion. In the case where the mother's life is at stake, she can give birth to the baby prematurely with the help of medical professionals, and that's only when the mother's life is at stake. When it's for sure that her life will be at stake.
But that just contradicts in your point, because didn't you just say all abortion should be legal? Isn't that still
No.
abortion?
No, I'm not saying all abortion should be legal. I'm saying no abortion should be legal, and I don't think that women should be allowed to go through with this medical procedure unless it can be proven that her life would be at stake otherwise.
Well, at least for me, if her life is at stake and there's like no other, like sometimes you can like most of the times when a woman knows her life is going to be at stake, it's in the late third trimester. So she can either get a C-section, and that, it kind of counteracts like because most of the times when her life is in danger, she'll die during the birth. However, if she does a C-section, she won't. And so if she can get a C-section instead of like the birth, I would like have it like you do that. However, if there's like no other option for her, and it's either she dies, or the fetus lives, she can, she can get an abortion there.
Well, I disagree. I think that abortion should be completely illegal because there are other medical procedures in which, if it is proven that her life is at stake, then she could give birth to the child prematurely, and there's no need to directly kill the child. If the mother's life is at stake, and only in that case, then she can be given the opportunity to have a medical procedure enacted upon her that would make her give birth to the child prematurely.
Can I cite the definition of abortion real quick?
Sounds
Sure.
good.
The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy.
Okay.
So it's the termination of a pregnancy. If you have to kill it to save a woman, if it's in that first 28 weeks, sometimes you do. In Italy, there was a woman who died. No, let me tell this story. There was a woman who died because she couldn't have access to a medical procedure that she needed because she had a fetus and couldn't get an abortion.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back on what I said. I do believe that it is killing it. It's not directly killing it. And I believe that this should only be practiced in the case where the mother's life is in danger.
Okay. So we kind of established that I think that you are trying to label it as not an abortion, but sometimes abortions are medically necessary.
If you want to call it an abortion, sure, call it an abortion, whatever.
Yeah,
call it whatever
no, I'm not trying to make you upset. I'm just like, it's okay to feel that if it's medically necessary.
Well, no, it doesn't matter what you call it. The medical procedure is still the same. There's no need to directly kill the baby. Okay, so if the mother's life is in danger, then they can remove the baby from the womb without directly killing it. And it would kill the baby, right? Because they removed it from the womb, but they do not need to directly kill it and then take it out of the womb.
Okay.
So let the baby suffer more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, you do realize
it would
that
die
it would
once it's taken out of the womb. I'm saying there's no need to directly kill it. An abortion is direct. The abortion, okay. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. If you want to call it an abortion, sure, go right ahead, call it an abortion. The fact of the matter is there's no need to directly kill the unborn baby. You can take it out of the womb if the mother's life is in danger, and then it will die from being taken out of the womb, but it's not necessary to directly kill the unborn baby.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're saying that, yeah, this kind of ties into what I was saying about like the right not to be killed and the right not to die. They're completely different. And the right not to die it would not be an abortion. It's just like the violinist analogy. If you sever the tubes, that's not you killing it. In an abortion, in a lot of cases of abortion, that would be directly killing it. However, the right not to be killed is way different than the right not to die. Because the right not to be killed is direct and the right not to be killed is indirect. So when the fetus dies indirectly, sure, the action before could have caused it to be in that situation, yet it's dying of indirect causes. So yeah, Michael, I kind of understand what you're saying now.
So what if for abortion procedures, instead of what they are, they just take the fetus out? Would that still be okay the whole time?
To me, it would be okay, but we don't have that technology yet. If they could take the fetus out and it's still alive, but we do not have that technology yet. But when we do, yeah, I'm all for that because the right not to be killed is way different than the right not to die.
So, I still stand on like bodily autonomy, and
Sure.
I get that the right not to die is different, but still, it's using that woman's body. And it's her choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone, you mentioned the violinist analogy.
Yeah.
And still, that person is using.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to cut off. So if you you have the right to get rid of that violinist if they are using your body. No matter
sure.
what.
Yeah, so let me kind of explain kind of why. Could you stab the violinist? Just a question. I assume you would say no, right? Even though it is using your body, you can't stab the violinist, or can you?
I believe that if the violinist is using your body without consent, you have a right to defend yourself.
So you would so she could, if she had the choice to either sever the tubes or stab it.
But there is no choice to sever the tubes, right? Because that.
Well, no, that's kind of the whole
argument.
That's kind of like the whole argument. Like they're connected by tubes. That's like the violinist argument.
But the point you've been making is that there's no technology to do that with an abortion. So then it's not comparable, right?
Well, the point I'm making is, you're arguing it from bodily autonomy. Like the woman can do whatever she wants with her body. Therefore, she would be able to sever the tubes. However, I'm saying she can sever the tubes because there's, a different, this has kind of been like the whole premise or a sub premise that, the right not to die is different from the right not to be killed. So if you stab the violinist, which, would you support stabbing the violinist? Like, could you stab the violinist and sever the tubes?
If you cannot sever the tubes, you have a right to get rid of that violinist.
So you can stab the violinist?
If you cannot sever the tubes, yes.
Okay, and this would be in an act of self-defense, reliability, like, or would it all fit into bodily autonomy?
It would be self-defense in that case, but kind of the equivalent to bodily autonomy.
Okay, so self-defense is in it's injuring the mother, or it's like an annoyance to the mother, or self-defense in what way? Just like because it's stuck there, or what?
I'm talking self-defense in the violinist case.
Yeah.
That's like an actual person, but bodily autonomy in the woman's case.
Okay, so bodily autonomy. So do you think bodily autonomy is complete? Like you should have like complete bodily autonomy?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what would you say about age restrictions for like drugs or smoking? Do you think we should get rid of them?
Drugs and smoking are different from a baby.
Well, no. You said bodily autonomy, right? Meaning you can govern your body.
You're giving off topic. You know that's not what I mean.
Can you just answer?
Well, you said bodily autonomy was complete, so can 5-year-olds do black tar heroin if they wish because it's their body and they can govern it?
It's a debate about abortion.
And you brought bodily autonomy.
Yeah,
I'm trying to prove bodily autonomy is not complete, which you claimed it was.
Okay, so you have to be consistent with your argument. So if you believe that my body, my choice is a valid argument,
bodily autonomy is the right to, like, people cannot use your body without your consent. That's bodily autonomy.
Bodily autonomy is the belief that
sure. I'll go off the premise. Sorry. Sure, okay, sir. No. So do you believe that if the mother consented to the natural causation, then she consented to the fetus? Or do you think that you can revoke consent even if you did consent? Do you think consent can be revoked during the pregnancy, or do you think it has to be revoked before? And also, do you think if she consented to the natural causation, that it's still consent to the causation, like the end value causation?
Again, I will tell you, we have the actual stats of how many women don't like actually talk about the rape. How many?
Well-
and plus, what are you? How are we going to tell who actually did consent to this and who didn't?
That's kind of not what I'm arguing. We can argue about like how it's determined, but I'm saying like let's just say we 100% know that she consented, right? Let's say there's like 100% proof that she consented, and she even admits she consented, right? Do you think that if either that the consent can be revoked in the womb, or do you think that that if she consents to the natural causation, which if you consent to intercourse, you're consenting to the natural causation of the baby being there, because intercourse is the natural causation which causes it?
I personally don't believe that consent to sex is consent to pregnancy, because humans naturally are very sexual creatures. We don't, especially now with all the like protections and stuff that we have, we have so much stuff to block it. It's just, not 100%. So when a man and a woman consent to sex, they're not necessarily consenting to having a baby.
Okay, so I think that's where we can kind of argue next. So, would you say consent to drinking would not be consent to peeing? Because I would argue that it is, because just the natural causation.
Because every single time you drink, you're gonna have to pee. Every time you have sex, you will not get pregnant.
Well, I mean, the end goal of it is to get pregnant.
Not always. I literally just explained
that's the natural. That's the natural causation of it. Like that's.
Okay,
do you know why it's supposed to feel good? The reason why is. Yeah, do you know why it is though? Do you know why it's there for pleasure? Do you know like why?
Yes, but now.
No, I'm asking the question. Do you know why?
Highly intelligent. Yes, I do. I already said that.
That's good.
Humans are highly intelligent creatures, and we have ways to protect ourselves from getting pregnant. When you drink water, like when you drink water, you will always have to pee afterwards. Always. Sure. I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom in a couple hours because I just drank that water.
So you're saying that the contingent variable change is that it's not always 100% going to happen when you drink water.
What?
The contingent variable change.
Could you let me finish explaining what I was saying?
Sure.
Yeah, so whenever you drink water, you're going to have to pee. Whenever you have sex, there's only a possibility of becoming pregnant. It's not 100% guaranteed.
So if I play baseball outside, right, there's only a possibility that the baseball is going to go and smash into somebody's window. But if it smashes into somebody's window, can I say, oh, there was only a possibility that it would smash into your window? I don't consent to paying for your window. I don't consent to actually helping you out and going through.
You're comparing pregnancy to breaking somebody's window.
Well, what he's trying to say is, this is I'm not sure if that analogy is kind of for this. It's more for precaution. Like if you say like, oh, the man or the woman had birth control, therefore she should be able to have an abortion. Basically, what that analogy is regardless of the amount of precautions you take, you're still responsible for the action at hand. So she, the woman, in the case couldn't just avoid responsibility just because she took precaution. That's kind of what that analogy is there for.
Stuff? I feel like I've been talking the whole time.
Okay. So could you repeat that point for me?
The one how you can't avoid responsibility even if you take precaution?
Yes.
Oh wait, Michael might. Okay, Gus, Michael, do you want to have Gus sub into you until you get like your Wi-Fi fixed, just so it's like still a 2v2?
My Wi-Fi is fixed for right now. So
okay,
I mean, cool. Maybe in like 30 minutes or whatever.
All right, sure. All right, so my point is, or Michael's point, but the analogy is, so there's a baseball player. He uses like a soft baseball, a soft bat. He wants to take as many precautions as he can, to not hit a window. And this is his neighbor's window. So he hits the window. And this isn't comparing it to like abortion in any sense. It's just saying if you commit an action, even with precaution, you're still responsible regardless of said precaution.
Yeah, but isn't the woman still taking responsibility because she's trying to figure out what she wants to do? If she wants to have an abortion, that's her choice.
Well,
that would be avoiding responsibility.
You do realize that abortions cost a lot of money, right?
Yeah, it costs more than a window breaking.
And it also costs more. Yeah, but I'm not trying to compare the window analogy to abort. What do you think? Cost is the only difference? Like if we just lowered the cost, then it'd be fine. Is that like it?
No
If
one's
cost is your
saying
only
that.
variable that's changing, then I could just. So if I change the cost variable, then it would be okay.
Like, why are you bringing up cost? What's the point
Yeah.
in that?
Yeah. Oh
Because
yeah. What's the point in cost?
the big thing with the window is you'd have to pay for the window, right?
Sure.
Women have to pay for the abortion as well.
No, but like I said, I'm not trying to
But it's
compare it
not.
to abortion. I'm trying to compare it to
Yeah, but when you
responsibility.
have an abortion, you also have like there are consequences that come with that too.
But
Well,
isn't
it
the whole
doesn't
point that
matter.
there's more
It's-
consequences with birth?
The baseball analogy is definitely a straw man argument. I just have to say that in general.
Why?
No, it's not. Or,
Do you
yeah.
know what a straw man means, though?
Yeah, it's when we misrepresent your argument and then
I
make
know-
a point about that
I
argument.
know you probably do. Michael, do you know what a straw man is?
Yeah, it's misrepresenting an argument, like you just said.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure because I know you've straw man multiple of my arguments on TikTok, and then when I call you out, you say, "Oh, but I didn't insult you." So I wanted to make sure that
Okay,
you knew what that meant.
Okay, that was me getting mixed up with ad hominem and straw man. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So, do you want to go forward with the analogy? It's not a straw man. It's an analogy. And analogies only go so far, right? So we're only comparing certain aspects of the situation, not the entire situation. We're not comparing costs. Like, just because you pay money does not mean you're taking responsibility.
Yeah, so like money in the situation would be the contingent
Just 'cause
variable,
you
and if
pay
you're
money
saying
to
that the
have something
contingent
happen.
variable changes, then we can just give you an example when that contingent variable doesn't exist or does exist, and then that would totally like set up our analogy to like make the point that let's say the window costs the same as an abortion, or let's say it costs the same as birth, because you're comparing the cost of the window to a cost as abortion, and then you're saying that's her taking responsibility. So the window would only have to be the same cost as the birth, and then the birth would be the responsibility. Because you're using the cost as the contingent variable to align it with abortion, and then you're saying, oh well, the window taking responsibility for the window would be getting an abortion. So all I'd have to do is change the contingent variable to birth, and then birth would have to be where she would have to take responsibility.
Aaliyah, do you want to go?
Unless you want to give me another contingent variable.
Let me think first thing. If you have anything
Okay,
to
sure.
say, you can say.
Oh, okay. So if we're just gonna shift the argument away from analogies, do you guys just think that regardless, let's just I guess we can go away from the deontology of the action, because that's kind of what we've been arguing. To kind of, because at least for me, I think deontology a lot affects the actual legality of the action. So for example, like let's just say rape. We all understand like rape's a bad thing, but we don't understand.
Yeah.
We don't all agree that abortion's the bad thing. So that's why I think that ethics is a good thing. But like for rape, for example, if rape rates were to go up, if we legalized it, I would still say that it should be illegal just because the action itself is wrong. And I mean, would you guys agree? Just because the deontology of the action is wrong, regardless of like the after consequences.
Well, yeah, but you also have to realize that the majority of the population agrees that rape is wrong. Same thing with murder and stealing.
Well, I think
much
it's an appeal to majority.
Well, what
Logical
about when
fallacy.
the majority of people thought that slavery was okay? Did that make it any more okay?
Yeah, I think that's an appeal to majority.
No,
Logical fallacy.
no. Okay, Michael, you shouldn't really compare abortion
I'm
to
comparing
slavery.
aspects.
Those are two majorly different
He's
I'm
comparing the
comparing an
justification.
They're not even close, though.
He's comparing the justification,
if you're
not the
going
actual
to use
action.
logic, then your logic has to be it has to be consistent through all scenarios, and it's not consistent because you're saying the majority gets to decide what's moral and what's not moral.
Abortion has been illegal.
So, are you going to allow for me to finish my sentence? So you're saying that the majority get to choose what's moral and what's not moral, except for when it doesn't go for your side in cases like slavery, other immoral things that were widely accepted as moral. I'm not comparing every aspect of slavery to abortion, only the aspect that pertains to this argument, which is the majority choosing morality. That's what an analogy is.
Yeah, just saying the majority agrees or disagrees with something, I wouldn't really see that as an argument, because like he was saying, we're not actually comparing abortion to slavery, we're comparing the justification of it. So we're not actually saying abortion is like slavery, we're saying the justification for something, just because the majority agrees with it doesn't necessarily make it right. So when you say, like, let's just say we take a hypothetical country, because you were saying the majority of the society deems it as wrong, and so we're looking at like the subjective morality, and how if the society deems it so, then it must be so. And so if we look at a hypothetical situation, let's just say we take a hypothetical society where they see rape as a moral action. Let's just say maybe they see it in some cultures today, actually, they see it as like a sacrifice to God, and that can be in some cultures today. That doesn't make it okay just because the society deems it okay. So I think that's an appeal to majority. Just because the majority see it as a way, it doesn't make it right. So then I guess going back, when you said like the majority deems rape wrong. So if the majority deemed abortion wrong, could the abortion be illegal then? If the majority deemed it wrong? Because I know some small societies deem abortion as wrong. Like, let's just say we take a county in, let's just say Alabama. Let's just say they deem abortion as wrong. Would it be justified that abortion be wrong there? Just because, like you said, the society deems an action wrong or right.
We're talking about the nation as a whole.
Wait, what's your definition for a society then? Because you said like if the society deems it so. Okay, then let's say a really small country.
You said if the like I said, the majority of this country says that rape's like. I'm pretty sure if you go up to someone, like literally anyone on the street and say, "Is rape wrong?" they'll say yes.
All right, so what makes rape wrong? And who deems it so?
Did you hear what just came out of your mouth?
No, I'm asking this to find logical inconsistencies. Why do you think it's wrong, and who deems it wrong? Like, why do we all accept it as wrong? And why do we then make it illegal based? Because if the majority, what you're saying is, if the majority, like I agree that I'm not trying to say rape is good or in any sense at all. But what I'm saying is, if rape, we understand rape is wrong, so the society makes it illegal. So I'm trying to say, we're just going to use the country as the society, right? So let's just say there was a small country, because you want to argue this. I mean, country and society, they're kind of just semantical. But if we look at country, just a small country that seems rape is good, that doesn't make rape justified just because the country seems it right or wrong. That doesn't make it justified at all. So you can't just say the majority of the country sees it wrong, therefore it's wrong.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you that literally, if you go up to anyone, that's like a universal thing. I guarantee it. Tell me why do you believe rape is bad?
Well,
because it violates the axiom to self-ownership.
Okay, why do you think it's
my ethical? Because again, it violates the axiom to self-ownership. And when you're saying like some cultures actually allow it, like there's probably like on a country level, there's probably other countries or cultures that we disagree with. That doesn't mean their disagreement just because the whole society agrees with it is right. That's just a large appeal to majority. Just because the majority deems it a way doesn't make it actually right. So you can't use it as the majority deems it wrong to be the actual reason why it's wrong. Because then I could give you an example where the majority deems it right and that isn't actually right.
We're talking about our nation right now. I'm literally saying that rape, like we're talking about rape right now. We're not even talking about abortion.
Yeah, I know, but your justification for why it's wrong is other people seeing it as wrong.
Yeah, but why are we talking about rape?
We're talking because you said that the majority of people think the action is wrong, and therefore the action is wrong.
But how did we get here in the first place?
I'm gonna tie this into abortion.
Let's tie it into abortion.
Okay, sure. Okay, so if the majority of the country deems abortion as wrong, is abortion wrong?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so then you can't say that just because the majority says it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah, but we're talking about rape.
Framework.
You're saying that like there aren't other reasons why rape is wrong.
Well, no, because the whole point was the reason why you think it's wrong, not why I think it's wrong. My reason for why it's wrong is because it violates the axiom of self-ownership. Your reason for why it was wrong was because the majority deem it so.
That's not my only reason. What does that have to do with abortion?
Because you were saying that the majority of the people deem something wrong, then it's wrong.
But
has
We're
to do
not
with
talking about why are we
okay,
talking
okay.
about rape?
I'm going to interject. Let's not keep the topic on rape or abortion. Or, I mean, just rape, sorry. Everything was happening really quickly. It's kind of getting off topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I was gonna say is just because an action, like just because people deem the action as right or wrong doesn't mean that like should either be legalized or illegalized, and also because of the deontology of the action.
Okay. Is there any other points anyone wanted to make? If we want to do like one last point, and then we can do like closing statements, and we can take some questions from the audience. How does that sound? Because we're kind of circular arguing at this point. Like, it's just going around.
I feel like I've
This
talked
is
a
all
lot.
abortion debates, honestly.
Yeah, I hate
Okay.
abortion debates. They're so stupid.
So what we can do, if you want to just summarize your points, and then we can move on to the Q&A.
Okay.
Everyone
Aaliyah,
wants
you
to do
can summarize ours because I feel like I talked the whole time.
It's okay. It's okay. So basically, that we think that abortion could be the woman's choice because of bodily autonomy, and if our right to our choice has been taken away, there could be many cases of like false imprisonments under because of miscarriages and stuff and things like that.
All right. So I guess our closing statement. Well, for the miscarriages, first of all, I think that me and Michael proved that we aren't arguing for those miscarriage laws. Therefore, I'd see that point as invalid. And I think also the inherent capacity for the fetus. Our closing statement, I guess, would just be that the inherent capacity of the fetus trumps the right to bodily autonomy, and that bodily autonomy isn't complete.
Alrighty. If anyone has any questions in the audience, feel free to ask, and I will put them up on the screen. Let's see. Let me scroll back through the chat and see if I can find anyone to pop.
Thank you, Crazy Beard. We love you here.
Wait, is that the guy who said Stalin did nothing wrong?
Yes.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure in like Russia they see him as a hero. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, there's an overwhelming. Okay.
Okay, while we're waiting, I actually have a question for
Yeah, feel free to
guys.
ask.
What's your idea on like birth control in general? Like, do you think it should be more widely available, or
Just asking like if we
yeah,
think
like
birth
what's
control
your
is
opinion?
good. Yeah, of course it's good.
No, I mean like, do you think
It should be accessible from the government, or
Yeah.
no, not by the government. We should privatize it though.
Another question.
What do you
we
think
had-
on Medicare for all? Are you in favor or not in favor? Pro-lifers.
I'm for a fully laissez-faire healthcare system.
So you want to privatize everything?
Sorry,
Yeah,
my
privatize
audio is
everything.
cutting out and in, so I'm trying to work on that right now. Right now, I can't hear through my earbuds, so I'm trying to work on that. If I don't,
Okay,
if
let
I
me,
don't respond to
I have
it,
a question up here. It's from Cog. Let's see it. I think it's up. Should men be allowed to give up children for adoption, or do they not have to take responsibility for the consequences of having sex?
Is this a question for the pro-lifers or?
Oh yeah, that's definitely not a question for us.
So the question is, should men be allowed to give up children for? Is this like an already born child, or? I mean, I think it should always be at least close to a joint decision. But I think since the mother kind of had to go through more of like the pregnancy and stuff, maybe she should have more of a say for adoption. But I think in all, it should probably be more of a joint decision, not one over the other deciding.
All right, we got another question, and I think this is for anybody. Favorite historical moment?
Probably when the Gilded Age started.
I'm not really a big history person, but I do like the musical Hamilton. So
I honestly don't know.
All right, and I have one.
Protestant Reformation.
Here.
Deontology, it means the actual morality of the action, regardless of the consequentialism or the utilitarianism afterwards. So it's like the actual morality of the action, not taking into account consequentialist or utilitarian factors.
All right, this question got a little bit split, so I'll put it up. It was like, do the opinions of, I'll put up the other up, women have priority in abortion debates?
No. I would say no.
But are we
not
the ones
necessarily.
that are going to be more affected by abortion? Because I don't think.
Well, you're not the one dying from abortion, so.
You see,
Well, here's kind of my
women
stance
are
on it.
more-
Just because
You
it
can go.
affects you or not like, for instance, if I beat my dog in my backyard, that's not going to affect you at all. However, I still think you're qualified to have an opinion on if I should beat my dog or not. So I think regardless of who it affects or not, I think we're all qualified to have an opinion on it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what a lot of people believe is that women's opinions are more important because
Yeah.
they're the ones who are going to have to pay the medical bills. They're the ones who are going to
Sure.
have to go through the birth, all that stuff. They
That's
actually
why it's a priority, not like.
Well, I mean, again, do I have more opinion over you when talking about if beating my dog is moral? Like, should I, like, if I say it's right and you say it's wrong, is my right?
completely different.
Well, I'm comparing your justification because you're just saying whoever it affects more. It affects
Yeah,
me
it's the
more
same
if I'm
basis
beating
of
my own
whatever.
dog.
It would
Does it not?
affect the dog. You're comparing a living, breathing animal to a fetus that is inside a woman's
Well,
body.
no, I'm comparing the
That's
justification.
living.
Do you know
It's
the
a
price
living
of
human
medical?
person.
Do you know how much it costs
To get an
have a
abortion,
child?
about 800.
No, not
You mean
have an abortion.
4,000 in the hospital? About 4,000 in the hospital, if you're asking that. To have a child through 18 years, I think some estimates put it at least some estimates over $1 million, about $1 million.
We actually calculated it, and they're going to have to stay in the hospital a couple days, so about 800,000 without insurance. An additional 10,800 for the actual procedure, and that's if there are no complications.
So it's actually around like $40,000. Like I'm not sure how you calculated that, but at least by the studies that I've read, about $40,000. Well, I mean, again, that's fine that you looked it up. Like, what was the methodology of it? Like, how'd you calculate it, or how did they calculate it? Like, what's the methodology of the study?
They calculated how long hospital visits cost per 24 hours. Women usually have to stay about 2-3 days, so we multiplied that. We just looked up the price of the actual procedure for the rest.
And we can always send it in private chat if need be, right? The study. I have a question for the pro-lifers. Is
Sure.
it important to address the material conditions that are leading women to obtain abortions before completely illegalizing it?
Yeah, definitely. So, like, especially like El Salvador, for example, they totally banned contraceptives, and then they also legalized abortion. So that caused a lot of women to get illegal abortions, especially because contraceptives were illegal. So like that would be an example of a material condition forced onto them. And so that would be in the case where we need to legalize, or in my case, that I want, privatize them.
I actually have a different opinion. I believe that we can do both at the same time. I believe that we should make immediate actions towards both things at the same time. We can make abortion illegal and at the same time put out free birth control, put out other things that will help stop abortion at the same time. But I think immediately abortion needs to be made illegal, as well as these other things. We can do two things at the same time. That's just my.
But birth control doesn't overall stop abortions. Like 51% of women who get abortions use birth control.
Yep.
No, I understand that, but it decreases the amount of abortion. I'm answering her question by saying I'm giving that as one of the examples. She's saying, should we wait until we eliminate the factors that help determine whether one is going to get an abortion or not before we make abortion itself illegal? I'm saying we do both at the same time. We make abortion illegal, and at the same time, we try to take out the causes that would cause abortion.
What is your stance on sex education?
Good. I don't think it should be mandatory, but I mean, what do you mean? Like, if it's efficient? Like,
you don't think?
Like, do you believe in abstinence only sex education? That's the question.
Abstinence only, as in like not afterwards? Sure.
What?
Why?
Because I should give. Why? Because the schools should have the choice to teach whatever they'd like, and if you don't like that, then you can move to another school.
That's not how school districts work.
No, I'm saying how I want it to be, because you were kind of asking me the question of how I would want it to be. Is it good or not?
You do realize that abstinence-only sex education has been proven to increase teen pregnancies because kids don't know how to use birth control. So birth control is practically useless if those kids who are getting pregnant don't know how to use it.
Yeah, that's why I said it wasn't. That's because I said, schools should have the choice to teach whatever they'd like. If they don't want to teach that, then they can teach something else, like a.
It should be mandatory to teach.
Wait, like, mandatory by who? Education. Mandatory by who?
By the school districts and the government.
By the government?
You really think that abstinence only sex education, like that?
Yeah.
You can't believe that schools should be allowed to teach that, and then also say, oh yeah, if we just give people birth control, then abortions will go down, because those birth control, like all that birth control, is useless when people don't know how to use it.
Well, I mean, like I said, schools can choose what they want to teach and not want to teach.
And if they choose abstinence only sex education, it's not going to help. That's my point.
Well, I think kind of what we talked about earlier, the perception of the procedure is kind of unnecessary when it comes to the actual deontology of the action. So if you perceive it as the only way, but then you still do it, again, it's still the natural causation.
We're talking about birth control.
Yeah, but we're talking about how it affects it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm talking about it, because we're talking about how it affects it. So I'm explaining the effects and how the effects don't matter because the actual action is wrong.
That doesn't. You're making teens get that makes teens get pregnant, and then they feel they need to have abortions. And you know what happens when abortion is illegal and a teen thinks that they need to have an abortion? They either kill themselves or they have an abortion, an unsafe one.
Actually, well, 90% of illegal abortions are done by medical professionals. So, I mean, if you want to argue from the 10%, sure.
They're not like good, like, because we read up when abortion was illegal, about like stories of people getting abortions. Most of them were from medical professionals, but these girls got like sexually assaulted during these illegal abortions.
Yeah.
Are you talking about legal abortion? I mean, because how recent were the stories, and were they like in America or some other country? Because
these were in America right before.
So like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, would you say that? I mean, things have maybe changed since then.
If you're getting an abortion on the black market, you really expect those people to, it's an illegal procedure. If you're talking about illegalizing it, it would be an illegal procedure. Mm-hmm. You're more likely to come
would be an illegal procedure, but still, the deontology of the action is wrong, regardless of the isolated incidents. Yeah, I think we should let Gus in. Gus is pretty cool.
I mean, we're just doing questions. I really just want to do one more question.
You want me to leave and then let Gus in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I don't feel like I'm doing much. Hey, it was cool debating with y'all.
Bye-bye.
Good debate. I'm shaking your hand.
Okay.
All right, Gus.
Aww.
Okay, so let me just touch on a few things. So with about your stories of illegal abortions, I really don't think that you can make I don't think you can draw a conclusion off of you cannot draw a conclusion about what we should do with the legality of abortion based off of isolated incidents. We have to look at the bigger picture here, right? And that's even if we're going with a consequentialist framework. So two things. I would like to read off a part of a study, well, two parts of a study. I'll read off the methodology of it. then what it found in regards to abortion rates, and I'll also read the thing about legal abortions, and I'm going to try to make it I'm going to try to illustrate a difference between illegal abortions and unsafe abortions. So according to a study published by Dartmouth, they examined the impacts of changes in abortion policy on fertility-related behavior. We estimated regression models of each outcome considered as a function of the legal status of abortion, macroeconomic conditions, specific age compositions of all women of childbearing age, country and year fixed effects, and in some models, country-specific trends. So basically, they took a lot of factors into account by like functioning them into the abortion rate using like equations and stuff. And then if you skip down to the abortion thing, and I'll send this in private chat, the results provide strong evidence that the legal status of abortion has a large impact on the abortion rate. For instance, on all available abortion data, countries in which abortion is legal to only save the mother's life or for specific medical reasons have an abortion rate that is only about 5% of the level observed in countries where abortion is legal on request. So that's when they calculate it as a function of all the factors, and that includes illegal abortions as well. And now I'm going to try to illustrate the difference between unsafe and illegal. So you could have an illegal procedure that is done completely by a medical professional, and it's pretty much just like a legal procedure, but now it's illegal, right? But nothing really changes about the quality of it. So the best number we have on this is from a paper that I already put in chat called "Illegal Abortion as a Public Health Problem." And if you go onto page it's page 2 of the PDF. And it says page 949 at the bottom of the the bottom of the actual paper. It says that second, and even more important, the conference estimated that 90% of illegal abortions are presently being done by medical professionals, and this was a report written before Roe v. Wade. So basically, what it's basically trying to say that there's a difference between an unsafe abortion and an illegal abortion. So when you try to draw a conclusion based on whether or not we should keep abortion legal to protect women based off of isolated incidents, like a lot of the ones that people bring up, you can't really do that. You have to look at the bigger picture here. And then also, even if none of those things were true, I would still be pro-life because I think the deontology of the action is more important than like the consequentialism. Because I subscribe to a more deontological framework as opposed to a consequentialist framework.
There was a question in
Okay, that was
here. I think this is for the pro-lifers.
The ontological theory is just looking at the action itself, not looking at like for instance, like if let's just say a woman had like they do have increased suicide rates after an abortion or after a birth. And I can send you, we have like about 5 studies, I think, on like how it increases suicide for abortion. So we wouldn't take that into account just because of the deontological action. So for instance, we look at the deontology of rape. We understand it's a bad action. So if rates were to go up, if we illegalized it, and rates were to go down if we legalized it, we would still want it illegal based on the deontological framework. So that's like what deontology is.
And there's also a little bit more to it. Like you judge things based off of like a specific set of rules, right? And that's kind of where because when you're judging based on the rules, you're not really judging based off of you're not applying the rules to the consequences. You're usually applying to the rules to the actual action. You know what most deontologists will do. So you basically have like a set of rules, and you use those rules to determine.
And then you got another question, just so you know.
Okay, that's fine.
The ontological framework, you can base it off of different frameworks. So like for instance, you can base it off of specific Rossian ethics, which is like a mix between Kantian and utilitarian. Kantian is like kind of like when they give you the trolley problem, they don't believe it. They believe in like artificial stimulus to affect specific, like the trolley problem. If it was like if you could save 5 people artificially, but 4 people or 6 people naturally, or 6 people artificially and 5 people naturally, they would choose like the artificial stance. So that's like Kantian. And then for like utilitarianism, it's just like maximizing the pain to pleasure ratio. For rule utilitarianism, there's like rules they have to conform to, and then you can make the basis for if you want to maximize the pain to pleasure ratio. So in some forms of rule utilitarianism, you wouldn't necessarily be for legalizing abortion, even though it maximizes the pain to pleasure ratio. And so the deontological framework can basically be applied to whichever ethical framework you want to be. And there's also the actual ethical framework of deontological. Or I mean, on deontology, but you can apply it to specific ethical frameworks.
All right, and then which theory are you using specifically?
I usually argue my claims off of Rossian ethics. However, I also believe in like the NAP, for example. the non-aggression principle.
All right, I think most of the questions are done. I really want to thank you guys for being featured on our channel. It was fun hosting a debate since we don't really do abortion debates. So I appreciate you being here.
We appreciate you hosting.
Yeah, thank you.
It's pretty chill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'll be ending the broadcast. This will be up in about 6 hours, hopefully, unless you're
chill.
already watching it. So anybody else that's going to want to like clip it, just remember to be
6
up in.
hours?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why it does that.
That's crazy.
It's probably just like StreamYard. Just like
Yeah.
however you're using it.
Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
We're all going to go to backstage right now.
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right, this was great.
Okay.